Little floaty things. Little floaty things all over the Garden of Voo. It's raining little seeds all over the garden. And it doesn't help. It doesn't help that I have a fan going, but I need a fan because it's hot and it's humid. You know, this spring started out really cool and slow to get its feet underneath it, and now it's raining, thunderstorms, it's hot, it's humid, everything's growing. Even in the Garden of Voo, it feels the humidity because I have to open up the door every now and then, and it's not 100% airtight. Plus, and there goes another floaty thing. I'm going to have to show you that. Anyway, before I get started, welcome to the Voodoo Garden. My name is Ray. I am the host of this greenery I lovingly call the Garden of Voo. I have a plant right behind you. Don't sneeze, don't move, don't make any sudden moves, because that is going to cause some problems here. And it already has, actually, but it's a good problem. I can deal with it. I can deal with it. A viewer identified that weird mystery plant. Remember the one in the little tiny pot that was growing up and it had those strange flowers? Well, she identified it, and I want to thank you. It's called burnweed. I had no idea. But when I looked up burnweed, yep, there it is. Well, I have burnweed, and here comes another one. I have burnweed growing in the Garden of Voo. It won't be growing for very long because after I film this, it's got to go. It's raining seeds in the Voodoo Garden, and I'm going to be paying the price later, but what can I do? Look at this plant go. It's just going all over the place. Before we get started, I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, because every time I walk into the room, just the slightest breeze, and it goes poof, and little seeds come floating down all over the place. It's got little fuzzies everywhere. You can barely see them. But they're there. They're there. If you're a palm tree and you're right next to it, yeah, right there, it's snowing all over the tree. As I go up, I'm going to try and hey, don't breathe. Don't even think about it. These things are so delicate that if you just look at them the wrong way, they fall. And yes, they fall everywhere. They just drift on the breeze. It snows every morning when I walk in here. I open up the door and whoosh, and there it goes. I pollinate you. I pollinate you with my finger. That's what I do. Pollinate in the fly. Yeah. What do you think? It's beautiful, though. You know, when I look at it, and objectively, and not as a plant, it looks like little fireworks. Go poof, poof, poof. And that's literally what it does. It goes poof, and they go all over the place. There, my friends, from seed, sprout, to plant, to flowers, to seed again, there's the life cycle of a weed. A common weed that I got so much enjoyment out of. And the nice thing is that once I take this outside, I'm going to scoop up all the seeds, but a lot of those little fluffs are going to stay there, and a lot of the flowers aren't even open. I'm going to put that out there by the wood pile. It's going to finish opening up, and all those little fluffy things, they look like dandelions, they're going to float all over the property, and they're going to grow up, and we're going to have burnweed all over the place. So that was fun. I don't know where it came from. I have not seen another one on this property, but I guess that's going to stop. I'm going to see them all over the place. That, my friends, is burnweed. That's not the only one that was going a little bit hog wild, and I guess I got to explain why things are happening, and that helps you understand why things are going the way that they are. I changed my formula for my soil. I didn't mention this because I wanted to test it out first, and it seems to be working out okay. It's going to explain this. I have a compost pile going outside. I mentioned that I make compost out of the chicken manure and stuff. Well, I made a batch of compost. It's okay. It's good. It's not my normal compost, but it's good enough. Well, I took some of that. I baked it off in an oven that I have outside in the shed. I baked it off at a really high temperature to kill any kind of weed seeds, any kind of baddies that might be in it, because I wanted to bring it into the Voodoo Garden. So I brought it into the Voodoo Garden, a couple trays of it. I mixed it in on a 1/4 ratio, a fourth compost with my coir and my old potting soil. Mixed it all together, and that's what I'm using right now. Also, I'm using that compost for compost tea, so I got a 1-2 punch going on over here. And this is this explains what I'm going to be showing you now. Okay, this is I got to show this because it's got to go, because my legs have no room to move. This is called a Praxis cherry tomato plant. It was made popular a long time ago by me growing a tomato plant and then saving the seeds, growing it again, saving the seeds. I've mentioned that before on both programs, and I've talked about it to death. Well, a friend sent me a seed and I grew it, and here it is. This is actually not the plant that I grew. This is just a cutting from the plant that I grew. Yes, this is a cutting, and not too long ago, just a matter of weeks ago, it was this itty bitty cutting. And now we have, it's got quite the spread on it. This is one plant. Yep, this is one plant, and I don't know where to start, so I guess I'll just start at the top and we'll work our way to the bottom. It's growing very healthy. It's got flowers coming out. Now, if you have tomatoes growing, whether it's indoors or outdoors, generally, the rule of thumb is you don't have to have bees pollinating them or any other kind of pollinators, because they have what's called enclosed flowers. That means that the male and female parts are enclosed in something that looks like this. It's all inside, and all you have to do is go like this. Tickle your flowers once a day, and that's all it takes, because the male and female parts are inside this little cone right here. And the pollen hits the female parts, they produce tomatoes, you're all set. Now you got to make sure you do this on a daily basis, because when you have an active tomato plant like this definitely is, it produces flowers every single morning. And I pollinate them. These are the new flowers. As we go down this Jack and the Tomato stalk, you'll see that the tomatoes are actually starting to form on the plant. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot of tomatoes in here, and the back side of it has even more, but I'm not going to flip the plant around. You can see some in there. These will be ripening probably in a few weeks. Now I wanted to show you this, not for show off, but to demonstrate what you can do. This plant, oh sorry, didn't mean to shake the camera, I'm trying to settle down here. The plant is not growing in anything more than cocoa peat and regular potting soil, but I'm feeding it with a compost tea. And that's what I wanted to mention. If you have any kind of compost, or you can buy any kind of composted manure, you can use that on your indoor plants or outdoor plants. Now, a tomato plant is not a really common indoor plant. Now, this one is, of course, no doubt root bound, yet I can still grow it because I'm feeding it. And inside, you can see that stem that goes across left and right, where it lays down, it puts down roots. That's what tomato plants do best. And the more roots they put down, the stronger they get. This is why I promote suckers, because the plant I could grow straight up and I could stake it, or I could just let it lay down and support itself. This plant is 100% self-supporting. Yep, it's sturdy, it's getting tall. Eventually, it's going to require some support, because tomato plants can't grow straight up for very long without being staked. But it's a very strong plant. It's got great genetics, but it also has a great growing pattern. I allow it to grow up. It's about maybe, 18 inches to 2 feet above the pot. And it's all self-supporting. This is what you get when you take good care of a plant, whether it's indoors or outdoors. And that's where I keep mentioning, start the soil good, and then also continue to feed it, and it'll take care of you. This is all I do, is give it a little bit of compost tea. Now, the compost that I mixed in with my potting soil, that's doing other things for other plants. And I'm going to move you over to the right while I have you in my hands here. Remember the little China doll? I had it in a little tiny pot. Well, I transplanted it into a bigger pot, and this is what happened. It's no longer a little China doll. It's a China giant. And this is the mix that has the compost in it. The green gloss of the leaves has stayed. It's put out a lot of growth. You know, these are actually not just plants, these are trees. I'm growing a tree indoors. How tall this will get, I have no idea. No doubt it's going to hit the ceiling. But it is growing in that mix of compost mixed in with my potting soil. And all I have to do is give it plain water, and it's going to do fine. That's the nice thing about putting compost into your soil. It lasts a lot longer than the fertilizer that they put in potting soil. The fertilizer in potting soil doesn't last very long at all. That's why your plants start out good, and then they just kind of start getting wonky and weak. Yep, the compost is a living, breathing thing that continues to give. Hey, look. Does anybody, you outdoor gardeners, you know what this is? Yep, it's a watermelon. It's a watermelon. I grew an extra watermelon just in case I had issues outside. I did. We had a storm and it killed my watermelon. So I sprouted some more seeds, but this one I'm going to keep inside. I like it. It likes me. It's growing in the composted soil. And if I can grow this and let it vine all over the voodoo garden and it puts out any kind of fruit, that's going to be pulling a rabbit, a big fat stinking rabbit out of a very small hat. I got to try. I know I'll probably not make it, but that never stops me from trying. All right. You hold perfectly still. I don't look forward to the day when I have to chop this thing back or stake it up because I don't really know exactly what I'm going to be doing with this. Now, what I did is I planted it in the potting mix, and then I'm feeding it the compost tea. I would have preferred, the optimum situation is to get the soil right the first time. Well, I didn't have the compost when I started this. Now I do have the compost. So my idea is this. I'm going to let this thing grow and probably sprawl all over the place and go nuts in the voodoo garden. But I want to take a little cutting, and I'm going to get out one of the large pots. I think I have one of these giant 16-inch pots. I'm going to mix it with the compost in it, put a cutting in that, a little itty bitty cutting in a giant pot, and that will be my permanent plant. This one, I'll let it go and give me a few cherry tomatoes, and I'll just snack on them while we do programs in here. But that's not going to be the permanent plant. This is, I guess, just a temporary one. So I'm going to grow this like this, and then I'm going to have a permanent one in here, and I might, if I can do it, I'm going to try and grow it year-round. So from now on, we're going to have a tomato plant in here. I figure, why not? You and I can snack on tomatoes while we talk. I think this is a great way to get together. Now, there's back here, I'm trying to show you all the new updates since the last time because a lot of new things have been going on. Well, this thing back here, this is called a night blooming Cirrus. I think it's called Cerus. I think that's what it is. Well, it's kind of like a dragon fruit in a way. Don't quote me, okay? It's like a succulent. It's a stem that's got leaves, and then it's supposed to put out a flower that blooms at night. Well, somebody sent me an itty bitty leaf, and I shoved it in soil and it started growing. I didn't know what to do with it. It grew up this stem, and it wouldn't fit over there next to you on the table, so I decided, well, I'll just put it in the corner over here. Well, that stem just kept going and going, and then it started putting out leaves, and now my idea is for it to grow and take over all of this lattice that I put on the walls. Remember, was it last year? Last year we had the that vine. Remember the one that took over the ceiling? It was dripping sap all over me. Yeah, it was raining sap here in the voodoo garden. That was a passion fruit vine, I believe. And oh, that was nasty. It was a beautiful vine. It grew really well in here, only it kept raining sap, and I didn't want to keep getting hit by sap. And all the little plants over here were getting hit by sap, and I have to keep wiping them off because the sugar in the sap can actually lead to fungus infections. So yeah, I got rid of that eventually. Now this one is not going to rain sap. It's growing slowly, but it's growing surely all over the place. And maybe if we keep our fingers crossed, people tell me they won't bloom indoors. I'm going to see if I can change that. I'm going to see if I can possibly get this to flower inside. And that way it can actually give you an idea that maybe I can grow something inside that I don't normally grow inside. And there's one last thing. I know this is a short program, but I got a couple amazing things to put into this program. And plus I can't stay down here too long. The temperature's rising, even with the fan. It's getting kind of hot in here. So I want to show you one last thing in here, and that's the air potato. Remember the air potato that was growing in here? Well, it started out this little tiny nub. You saw it just a few weeks ago. I think it was what, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? Well, it's a little nub of a stem coming out of the soil, and then it started vining. Well, it I got to show you this because it's something that's invading the voodoo garden, and you're going to see it whether you like it or not. Eventually it's going to be all over here, and that's one of the things I'm kind of concerned about, but then again, it's a good concern. So with that being said, I want to show you what's going on behind the scenes behind you. Okay, so I moved the plants away from it because I wanted to show you this. Normally it's surrounded by plants down here, but right now it's just in a 14-inch pot. I really didn't know what to expect, and I underestimated this. I always tend to underestimate things. It grew this little stem out, and it started vining. Well, at every leaf junction, guess what? It puts out another vine, and it has these little anemic-looking leaves. Doesn't look like much, does it? Little tiny leaves. Well, nothing's going to happen. Well, the leaves get bigger as it goes, and then, of course, it splits off, and it vines everywhere else. And right over here, these leaves are as big as a dinner plate. Oh yeah. It just keeps going and going. I got little hooks in the wall to hold the vines, and it keeps going. And there's another plant back there. Oh, that's the one that I said was that's dragon fruit. Yeah, a little nub. It's trying to grow as well. So it's growing behind the vine. Well, the vine just keeps going over here to the next light across the room, and we're talking a good 8 feet. And that's just one of the vines. If we back it up, you can see that the vine split off and it's going up here along the ceiling. That's just one of them. So as it goes, all these little leaves are going to get as big as those dinner plates. It just takes time. And it all comes back down to here. And all I've been doing is giving it the compost tea. I think a lot of it has to do with the genetics. But the genetics combined with the good soil, I think that did a little synergy. And if you find me dead here in the Voodoo Garden, strangled by one of my own plants, oh, what a way to go, huh? What a beautiful way to go. And we have this. This is one that just sits quietly and doesn't say much when you come over, but it does like to be noticed. This is an English ivy, a variegated one, that started out as one of those little $1, $2 plants at Walmart. I just threw it in the potting soil. I feed it, and it grows. A lot of folks, when they get these, they mention that they don't grow very fast. Well, all they need is medium to medium bright light. Feed them. That's the thing. The more you feed them, the more they grow. And this one goes through the moist dry cycle perfectly. I let it totally get dried out, water it again. Dry out, water it again. And that seems to do the job. This one has been growing on this shelf for a few months now. I don't know what I'm going to do with it because I'm kind of running out of room over here, but I guess that's a good problem to have, you know? Hi, how you doing? That is a fun issue to have, is that your plants are going a little bit too wild. I'm slowly running out of room. Eventually, it's just going to be all of this green and yellow and white, and then you're going to see my little glasses coming out of it. That's how it's going to be in the Voodoo Garden. I guess that's how it's going to end. I will be fertilizer for these plants. I just wanted to show you that. I wanted to do a quick program early in the morning and just show you a few of the things that I mentioned before, because you do like the updates. So if you have any questions, if you have any concerns about my well-being, post it in the comment section below. I'm always here for you. And if you have any questions concerning growing your plants, let me know. I'll do the very best I can to give you the very best answer I can. And with that being said, I think I'm just going to try and make my escape. Get out of... Oh, wow. Oh, I look down here. This, what are you? Agave. Agave just had a baby. Well, son of a... Oh, congratulations. Yeah, you're a mama. Agave is what they make, what is it, tequila out of? Somebody sent me somebody sent me a little slip of a plant about this tall, and I planted it ages ago. I think it was last year. It's grown up. It's just kind of sat there, and just this morning, it has a little tiny pup coming out the side. Good for you. Good things growing in the Voodoo Garden. Well, I got to get going. I got to get these back in their spots and then get that thing out of here before more seeds fall. I will see you in a couple weeks. Until then, this is Ray and his crazy little friends. We're out of here.